Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Trade the Chain. It is February 17th. We're a little more than halfway through the month, and it is all about Bitcoin today. We are above the 50,000 mark and have remained above the 50,000 mark on its second attempt to get up there. And so a lot of people excited, a lot of people richer too. Joined by my co-host Ryan Gorman and our crypto analysts CJ and Monty from marketrebellion.com. Today's show is going to be all about Bitcoin, and as you would have it, it's bulls versus bears. The team is divided, and we're going to run through why. Ryan, take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Alex. This is just a reminder that all content provided by Trade the Chain is strictly for informational and educational purposes only. Absolutely none of this is investment advice, and you should never listen to us.
Ever.
Don't do it.
No.
Trade the Chain is brought to you by Trade the Chain, a 24/7 global community of people around, of course they're around the world. It's global.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere, 23 time zones. All ages, all abilities, all using AI-driven sentiment indicators and actionable alerts to help them beat the market. Trade like a crypto insider on tradethechain.com, 14-day free trial.
And going over to the Trade the Chain dashboard. Ooh, bearish hourly sentiment, somewhat notable considering we've had such bullish price action.
Feeds into the team. Bears.
Interesting. And then we have marketrebellion.com/crypto. This is Monty and I in our community. With us, you get access to exclusive trade ideas, our macro portfolio allocations. We just made an update to the macro portfolio this morning. A pro charting platform, a crypto trading education curriculum, and an elite community of traders all throughout the world, and much more. If you're serious about trading crypto, this is the service that gives you everything you need and much more. So you can start your first month trial for just $1 at marketrebellion.com/crypto. We've been adding a lot of stuff to that, and we've been growing with the market as well as Trade the Chain. So we appreciate that, guys. And without further ado, let's get to the big boards here and discuss a little bit about Bitcoin. So we got the 4-hour chart highlighted here, and I guess I'm advocating for the bullish case today, while some other of our analysts will be advocating the bearish case, likely based off of sentiment analysis. But you know, my opinion and my views haven't changed too much since yesterday or earlier in the week. As you can see, we have a beautiful breakout here with our green 5. I'm expecting the sequential count to continue to potentially reach that green 9 in about 20 hours. Going to the weekly chart, I mean, this is what it's all about for me. And really, this is how I choose to make trading decisions, is based on this weekly chart. And as you can see, it is just a beautiful breakout. We used this previous Fibonacci level as resistance. We have ever since broken off, and we're going all the way towards the next resistance level at 62K.
You called it, CJ. You called that last week, my friends. 62.
Hey man, the honey hole, we never hit the honey hole, or just briefly hit it. So, you know, it's not everyone. But as you can see, this would be about a 19, I guess we'll just round up and call it about a 20% increase. That would take us ultimately to that next Fibonacci level at 62K. I just, you know, there's not a reason for me to get out of a long position right now. You know, for some altcoins that we can get into, we talked a lot about our member webinar on those, but I'm seeing the market being very bullish overall. That's my bed back there, by the way.
I don't know. I mean, this is completely by viewer demand. But if you notice, we finally got CJ to get back in the kimono. He moved into a new pad. You can see his bed back there, which looks to be the red-lined coffin. So he's making a change. I mean, you see what YouTube stardom does to a guy, right? There it is. All right, so I'm going to take the same stance as CJ. So obviously we got Mr. Short and Ryan as the bears today, because And would you look at that? There's my Rebellion Op Center. The only two things I have open on the screen, Trade the Chain and the Crypto Rebels. But you look at CJ's flow right here, what he just went over with the charts, you have that upward momentum going, and I'm seeing the exact same thing on the sentiment. If you look at the price, which is in blue here, that flow is just upward momentum. We had a little dip in sentiment, as you see in red on Bitcoin, but now it's had a reversal. It keeps going up. We shot over 50,000 with it. We're up to 51.5 right now, and I don't think we're going back anytime soon. To CJ's point that he did last week on the show, once it hit that 48,000 and then that mental 50,000, we're going straight up to 62,000. I could see where the bears are going to come in here, and I'm not going to steal their thunder real quick, but you can see a 31 score on the daily sentiment for the market overall. So there's everything bleeding out in tandem from a sentiment standpoint. But look at this price, 51.6. I just don't think it ends right now. I think it's straight up to 62, both on technicals and sentiment.
Okay.
Fair enough. Let me start by saying I respect the opinions of my esteemed colleagues, Alex and CJ, but I'm about to bring the bears into the house. So let's get it.
Let's get it.
And listen, I'm going to start with this another small disclaimer. Although I do think this may have the potential to be a bloody weekend, I am still bullish in the macro. Like in a month from now, the price will be higher than it is right now. That's just looking at this trend, that seems likely. But I'm going to make the case right now that this weekend we're going to see a bit of a sell-off here. And looking at what we've seen in the past few weeks, I think the technicals support that. So as you can see, we climbed up when we first got that parabolic price action. We climbed up to this higher high right here, 48K. That was subsequently followed by a brief period of consolidation and then a correction of about 9.92%. Not exactly a correction, just a sell-off. And this was our first of the higher lows, this price floor right here. So we then continued to set higher highs, which is why I'm bullish in the long term. We continue to set higher highs, followed by higher lows, higher high, higher low. And I think this will be another instance of us hitting a higher high and then dropping to a lower low. And this is also supported by the fact that we have strong support right around where this would pan out. So if you look, a 9% drop would take us right around here to the 47K level. And this looks to me to be a tremendously strong price floor going forward. And although we may only hit it a few more times, because I do expect us to kind of get up to that 62K level that CJ was talking about on the weekly chart eventually, I think in the interim, we're going to see another one of these periods of a brief sell-off following this climb up. And if you look here, we've bounced off this setup 9 support level quite a few times here. At first, the candle bodies were hitting it, but now it's just the wicks. So this has been proven a valid support line. And these technicals in confluence with the sentiment that we're seeing on the Trade the Chain dashboard, the daily sentiment just is not as strong as what we've seen when we have seen bullish price action in the following days. So I do think that we're going to see a bit of a sell-off into the weekend, and that is my argument for the bearish case.
I largely agree with you, Monty, right? Weekends, as have been pointed out in the past in this Bloomberg article, right, by Valdana Herrick and Catherine Greenfield, that's when you have the most volatility. That's when you have the thinnest trading and the thinnest volumes. So let's say someone wants to sell off some of their profits and they have any sizable holdings in Bitcoin, they're going to end up like Trump's casino. Down good. And that's what I think is going to happen to Bitcoin markets over the weekend. I'm long-term bullish, just like you are, just like the rest of us are. But I think in the short term, it's going to go down. And part of the reason is, Alex, you pointed out the daily sentiment earlier, right? And daily sentiment does trend positive. But when you look in more detail on the 7-day timeline at an hourly perspective, it's only popping up when positive news happens for the most part, right? there's no positive news. There's no news at all really on weekends. And that's why there tends to be sell-offs, because there isn't the support that comes from what happens during the week when things like MicroStrategy.
You don't know if Elon Musk is going to smoke a little bit of the 420 and make a tweet about Bitcoin. You don't know that.
You're right, but neither do you. Neither do you.
Why don't you play that video? Play that video. What does that video look like in your bear case?
You know, you think they could have like refurbished it, or somebody would come in and buy the building, but they're not, like, screw it, we're blowing this thing to the ground.
Well, what happened was it went out of business in 2014, and someone else bought the property, and it really is in disrepair. I don't know the last time any of you were in Atlantic City, but when I was there 2 years ago, it was pretty grim.
Can you mute that and just watch it collapse? It's only a minute long. Let's watch what you think Bitcoin price is going to do this weekend.
It's going out like this.
That looks like it just went down to the 47 and change support level. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Long term, I'm not a technical analyst. I'm not the trader that you guys are, but I think just pointing back to the price charts that both of you have shown, I think that Bitcoin, it has that support at about 47, 48,000, and it makes sense for it to go down there and hit that support and stay there. But I just don't see the catalyst to propel it and higher right now, and I don't see how it would stay above 50,000 if a bunch of people decided they were going to take some profits.
So I just want to play devil's advocate on that point.
You are the devil.
Well, I was
it's
called
like Lucifer's lair. Look at that.
I was called a vampire. So, traders are market parasites. So I guess you can think of me as that. A counterpoint to the weekend sell pressure is just that we had such holidays earlier in the week. We had President's Day, we had Chinese New Year, of course. So the volumes were already low, and they were already primed for a sell-off, which would have taken place in the weekend. And even if news doesn't come in immediately, Alex and I talked about this on Monday about how corporations, we will likely get more news of corporations buying Bitcoin in the next month or so. But even if we don't, I think price action is enough to drive the cycle regardless. We didn't have news like that in 2017, but it was based on price action alone and a scarcity of Bitcoins on these spot exchanges that just continually drove the price up.
Sure.
If we have a price diminishing event, like Ryan and Monty are thinking about and possibly even hoping for, that's how Monty makes a living there. Sure. But if we do and Monday rolls around, I will replace the Lambo with a rust bucket and just sell it all, because I'll probably have lost that much money anyway. So
there's a higher likelihood of a negative event happening over the weekend than a positive one, right? Exchanges can be hacked on the weekend. Something can go wrong with a DeFi project over the weekend, but positive announcements from publicly traded companies or corporates that buy into Bitcoin from their treasury, that's not going to happen on the weekend.
No, well, we're not gonna find out until we get the filings revealed at the end of the month. And when we do, I think we're gonna have a couple more that have hopped on this bandwagon, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, and let me just say, if Bitcoin does kind of take a bit of a tumble, I am going to instantly buy below 48K. I think that's a great price, and as a result, I don't expect it to hover on that price point for too long. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm hoping for some bearish price action, is to increase my stack.
Here's a question for you bears. If you had zero exposure to Bitcoin, would you buy it right now, or would you wait for a pullback?
I don't know that I'd buy Bitcoin at all. I think I'd be looking more at like ETH.
If I had no exposure right now, I would just wait, because we're at an all-time high. And if you look back, like I said, the last week, when we hit these all-time highs, we tend to, at the very least, for a couple of days, dip below and settle a higher low. So I would, at the very least, try and wait until we're not at an all-time high. But that's a good point, CJ. If you have zero exposure and you buy right now, it's going to be a good trade in the long term, no doubt.
In the long term, sure, but you never buy it high. no matter what the asset is. And you know, if I'm new to the crypto market and I don't hold any crypto whatsoever, I don't necessarily know that I'd buy Bitcoin because it doesn't
No,
have
there's a lot of opportunities elsewhere, Ryan, for higher returns.
exactly. You're not going to get the returns that you'll get from an ETH or from a DeFi project, because the person getting into crypto right now is seeing the upside returns for the most part, at least among our audience here in the States or in Europe, right? The people who buy Bitcoin now, for the most part, probably are those who actually have to hedge against an inflation. And it doesn't matter if it's at the high. You're buying it to make sure that you don't lose 30% of your paycheck in the next day.
Agreed.
Couldn't
I will say this. I think we all spoke about what we thought the bull top was going to be the other day. I think CJ, did we do that before Peter Brandt came out with this article?
Yeah, because he talked about that, what, this morning or yesterday?
Exactly.
I completely agree with Peter.
We called it. I want everybody to know that we called it this time, all right? But no, what I'm saying is I do agree to what we were talking about the other day, what Peter is, kind of giving us affirmation towards what we were speaking about today in his article today, was that I think we're going to hit the end of the bull run come the end of this year. He was January, February. I'm feeling a little December-ish. But when that happens, and I think we're going to be between the 150 range. I know that's broad, but I'm not a mind reader. I also think that once that happens, we're going to see a retractment at least of the minimum 40%. And it could be as high as 60, 70, in my opinion. I think at that time, when we start hitting that top at the end of the bull run, I'm going out of Bitcoin. I'm taking profits. I'm waiting for the dip and I'm going back in. I'm not holding on.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the model from Peter Brandt, as you probably saw earlier. But I mean, wow, this thing goes all the way up to 240,000. But I still believe that we're likely going to hit at least a 60% correction. But if you look here, based on previous cycles, look where we were in like the orange, back here in 2017, and then look where we are in the orange right now. Like, we're probably not even at the next bear market support level in terms of price action and how parabolic this thing can truly go. So just a little interesting thing I thought I'd share.
Oh, absolutely. Long-term Bitcoin, I'm super bullish on it. Not this weekend.
I think if this bear market does come at the end of the year, beginning of next year, it will be the first time I've taken profits in Bitcoin, and I will, because I do believe that's going to be an opportunity. All right, folks, we had a great conversation today. Episode a little shorter. It was all about Bitcoin. It's a big day. In a week's time, if the Bears don't get their way, CJ and I will be coming on a week from now going, you'll never see the 40s again. Because that's what idiots on social media do. And but also one last parting thing, this was a trial run. It was brought back by popular demand. But if you would like to see CJ have a more regular wardrobe change into the kimono, because I believe the kimono does bring luck to the markets, and he looks a little freaky and scary too. Just drop it in the comments and give us your upvote or downvote on it. All right, guys, and we'll peer pressure him into whatever decision you guys choose. Other than that, hang on to your handlebars. Happy trading, and we will catch you all tomorrow.